hello everyone. I'm Lakwanda.
And I'm Jerome, relationship coaches and founders of One Heart Couples in Richmond. And welcome to this week's edition of Straight from the Heart.
On today's episode, we're going to be talking about communication, which, if you ask me, is the most important part of any relationship. If you can't get your communication right, everything else is going to be off. And as you know, we like to keep Christ involved in our relationship, and we want to help you with that as well. So we have some very special guests in the studio with us here today to help us shed some light on proper communication in a relationship. So let me go ahead and introduce our guests to you today. We have Alex and Zanetta Peterson. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So can you guys just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself, about your relationship, how long you've been married?
Excuse my voice to the audience. We've been married 30 years, and we dated for 5 years prior to that?
4 years too long.
Yeah. And we have two wonderful daughters, and so that's pretty much it. You know.
So when you say 30 years, you're saying 25 unmarried? I mean, 5 unmarried?
30
35
years.
total.
30 years married, 4 years dating.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. My education level sometimes drops, so you have to excuse me.
Bro, that's all right. Gets like that sometimes.
Okay.
I got you.
So this is actually our first time having a couple that has that many years in. So
We
hopefully
usually
we can
beating
gain
everybody
gain some good information from you guys and some information that we can give to our viewers about, how to stick together and keep that thing going. So
Okay.
Well, you pretty much said it in your introduction about it's so important. Communication is important in every area of the marriage. It's very, very important. It gets to a point sometimes where you almost, in your communication, you're almost finishing each other's sentences, or you do certain things. It's like, you know what, I was just thinking about that. Well, let's do this, and you know what? I was gonna call you and say, let's do that.
I love
But
when that happens.
but also just in the simplicity of just listen. I'm gonna roll to the store. I'm going here. I'm going there. Usually, when I'm done with a production, I'm calling and say I'm on my way home, or I might even be at a production, and I'm calling. Just keeping in touch. That's all. Just in those things. There are things that Zanetta handles, and I'll tell you, the bills and those things. Something gets out of hand.
I'm with you. I
Yeah,
understand.
something gets out of hand, and she'll tell me. I try not to ask, and if I do ask, then it's just an ask. I'm just wondering what's going on. Okay, cool.
I think we may be brothers.
Might be.
That's kind of how it is over here, too.
Yeah, but no, communication is important. It's very, very important in all marriages. So.
Okay. What you think, Miss Peters?
Well, yeah, I agree. I think initially, sometimes I would hold back from saying anything, just to prevent an argument. So I just kind of wait. But now it's just different. I say what I need to say and just kind of move on with it, as long as I'm getting it out, because it doesn't really do me well to hold it in.
Right.
So now I just kind of say what I need to say. We might talk about it further, and we may not, and that's okay.
I got you. Yes.
We might discuss it a couple of days later, and that's okay, as long as I let it go and release it and get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah, and we can agree to disagree,
Oh, that's real important.
and
Gotcha.
that's okay,
Gotcha.
because we don't agree on everything.
Yeah.
And that's okay, but we can agree to disagree and move on, and we might come back to it later, but that's okay.
Okay. So you guys are obviously true followers of Christ.
Oh,
I know that. Obviously, you don't have to tell me that. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go all the way back. Let's talk about communication then, at the beginning, before you guys were really cornerstones with Christ, things of that type of nature. Let's talk about that communication. How was that to where you are today?
Well, dealing with Christ first. I mean, I knew that she had a relationship. That's all. That's always important in any relationship. You know, that try to have a relationship with the Lord. I knew that she did. We did not go to the same church. As a matter of fact, did you get baptized when we were married, or
Yeah.
after?
After.
After we got married, she got baptized. Not to say that we were unevenly yoked. You know, we were very much, but she decided to get baptized in. I knew that she loved the Lord and she believed in prayer. And that's another thing, dealing with communication to the brothers out here and sisters. You know, try to have a praying relationship, knowing that when you're down and out, you know that your spouse is going to pray for you. That's so important. You know, a lot of people don't think about that. It's important knowing that if something's happening with me, and she knows when things are happening with me, you know, I can hold it in. I might beat the pillow up, but I know that she's going to pray. And I know that her faith in the Lord is strong, just as mine. But we all, because of our frailties, get weak. And so it helps knowing that I've got a praying wife and she has a praying husband. Okay? And we're not afraid to stop and say, let's pray. You know? And so.
What about you,
But let me say this, in the very beginning of the relationship, with the Lord, it was all good. It was, I mean, you know, he's kept us this long. You know, I mean, like any other relationship, starting relationship, you're going to have bumps in the road. You know, you're going to have that. But you can work through those bumps. You know, you can go around it or you can go over it. But you can get by that bump and keep it moving.
Absolutely.
So can I ask a question? So I know that I'm sure you guys are no different from us. We still have issues that arise from time to time, and we argue about things, of course. So when an issue comes up and you all have a disagreement, how do you handle that, or how did your communication come involved when, you know, to kind of just work through that, smooth it out, and then get back on the right track after that?
I think, well, sometimes it all depends on what the situation is. Some things are just a little bit too heated to really have a discussion. So, you know, we might be in opposite ends of the house and not really talking, actually. And, you know, that thing about don't go to bed mad, that went out the window. You know, that's like, how can you not? That would be like ridiculous to say don't go to bed mad, because you do go to bed angry. You do. That's not to say that I don't love Alex any less than I did the day before. We're upset, so we're gonna be angry with one another. We're gonna be upset, and so there were times where we went to bed angry. We still kissed goodnight. It might not have been a little good look kiss, but it was like a little goodnight. Okay, but that's okay. You know, the love that we have for each other is still there. But I think in the beginning we didn't. You know, I thought like we were on this really long date. You know, when we first got married, we was on this really long date, and you know, we just all into each other and everything. But then he was still there, and I was still there. We were still living in the same house, so we had to really learn each other's ways. And although I knew God, and Alex went to church more than I did, I would go to church with relatives, friends, and then I eventually started going to church with him when we started dating. And then once we got married, I got baptized because when I was ready, not when he thought I was ready, or it was just on my own accord. And then I really started getting into church and us being married and him being the head, and, you know, and just learning how to really pray about things when they were going on.
Got you. I want to ask you a question, Ms. Peterson. Those times, because I know how we are as men. You know, sometimes we bullheaded. Sometimes we don't want to listen. That's okay. I'm gonna be honest, y'all. Well, how do you communicate in those times where you're knowing that you're absolutely 1,000,000% right in the situation, and he just doesn't want to listen? How do you get by those things?
I think in the beginning it was really, really difficult for me, knowing I was right. But, once again, it's just that time for time out. Even though I know that I might have been right in that particular situation, he wasn't going with it, so, okay. We just deal with that later.
Gotcha. That he just wasn't going with it just because of who he is, period. He just wasn't going for it, or he was believing he was right as well.
A little of both, I would
Okay.
True, she was right, on some of the things, but just sometimes just being a man and being bullheaded, man. No, we gonna do it like this, and there's this. We compromise.
Right.
That's it. Communication and compromise, they go together. So, but everything she said.
What's funny, Mr. Peterson?
No, you think back. I mean, you know what? You think back on arguments from way back. I mean, way back. And you think about it, and you just say, how silly that was. How silly when we could have compromised, and I could have gotten off my horse and jumped on her horse. But yet wanting to be the man in the situation. So that's what I'm kind of laughing at this.
Got you. Now, are you guys like old school folks, or you guys are kind of like with this new age computer age stuff?
No, what do you mean?
Just far as like communication, because I'm going somewhere with this. Everyone communicates nowadays by this, like this, and all of that. How do you guys handle communication through social media and texting and emails and things of that nature? Is that something you guys do, or you try to stay away from it, or?
Well, usually when we're at work, we might text one another at work. But other than that, I think I can say for the both of us that we really like to talk on the phone if we're away.
Yeah,
I want to hear.
Old
So
school.
we're old school.
I got you.
Yeah, I want to speak to a voice. I don't want to text. I don't do any of that.
I got you.
Unless you're just asking me a question, then
Gotcha.
I can say yes or no. But to have a long conversation, no. We need to talk.
Right. And see, I'm sort of like you guys to where I'm old school to the where I don't like to text because text interpret whatever you want to interpret off of text and things of that nature. So, lots of couples just say in the midst of arguments and you're texting, that thing can mean, you can take it so many different ways when you're texting, when it's just so easy, like you said, to pick up the phone and we can communicate and things of that type of nature, in the bad times, and stuff like that. So, I know she is more tech savvy than I am, so it's nothing for her to where we laugh with this all the time to where I say, I may use you guys. I say, call Miss Peterson, call Mr. and Mrs. Peterson, and she'll say, okay. Well, you didn't call him, you text him. So in her mind, hey, I'm communicating with you, with that. So,
But things do get misconstrued. You put your own tone on it, even though you didn't hear the person's tone of voice. If somebody responds with a short answer, you just be like, oh. And just take it a whole different way than what it was actually meant. So you put your own interpretation on people's words, even though you could have been saying, okay, like it's fine, but you look at it like, okay, like that's all you gonna say is okay. So, yeah.
But in the communication part, express, as Netta said, express your feelings. You have to display the 9 the 9 fruits of the spirit. You have to be gentle.
absolutely.
You have to express joy with one another. I mean, you have to do these things, to have a good relationship and to have good communication. You have to, don't hold it in. Holding it in doesn't do anything but make you physically sick. Just, say, and then when you say it, you got it off your chest, and you can get the response, and that response may clear everything up. Then you're fine. But if you don't communicate, then all you're doing is just you're building on the problem, and you're waiting for something else to come in and make it snap. Take care of it, then you won't have that problem at all.
Got you. Let's get. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm
baby.
sorry. No, well, no, I talk a lot about people, like in the midst of a conflict or whatever, they say that people don't necessarily listen to understand, they listen to respond. And so I could be carrying on all and saying all how I feel, and then I feel like when he respond, he wasn't listening to what I said. He was just getting his response together, because we naturally go into defense mode when we're in a conflict with each other. So do you all, have you experienced that, or do you make it a point to really listen to what the person's saying and not just waiting on your turn?
Yeah, we've experienced all of that. Where I would say something and I would feel like once I'm done, Alex has not really listened. He's not really heard what I said, because he wanted to get his point across too. And so, yeah, we've experienced all of that. But I think that's a constant work almost, to really listen and to really hear what the other person is saying. And I always say that what I'm saying are my thoughts, that's my opinion. It doesn't make it right or wrong, but it's how I'm feeling. It's my opinion. And so we're constantly working on that, really listening, because it's important to really listen and hear what's being said. And kind of like Alex said about using, gentle words, those fruits of the spirit, just being gentle. It's how you say it, that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Well, how you work with us with
big
that?
on
I mean, God created us as visual creatures. We don't hear it sometimes. So, how is dealing with that? Is that really tough at times? Things of that type of nature.
I think it has been, depending on what the situation is. Yeah, it can be really tough, but I think it's, I've noticed depending on how I come to Alex makes a big difference. And what's going on now. Like I couldn't come to him if he's busy doing work and trying to get something done. Yeah, timing means everything.
Got you.
Yeah, I know that timing and how you start off the conversation and not coming off aggressive off the flip makes a big difference in how the conversation is gonna go. So
And not sounding attacking, like I'm attacking him. So it makes a big difference. Timing is everything.
Yeah, I understand that, because see, sometimes they don't think that we're vulnerable. We get attacked too. They don't think we have feelings at times, even though we're not naturally emotional creatures the way Christ has made us, but we do get emotional at times as well. So
feel a little
I just had to put
sensitive
that out there, y'all, just to let them know that, hey, because the mystique, how it is, all men, that we just, we take out the garbage, fix cars, build houses, all that. No. But the funny thing about that is, now she does that. I fold clothes and mop and sweep and things of that type of nature. So, with that being said, same thing. Kind of asking that same question. With the communication as far as flipping of the roles, do you think it's his job to maybe take out the trash, or is it a thing to where we all can do it, or et cetera, et cetera? I'm just asking our opinion.
No, we all can do that. I don't think any person has a particular job. You should be able to do everything. You should be able to wash clothes, do the dishes, sweep the floor, everything.
Oh, yeah?
So
Wait a
yeah,
minute,
no,
wait
it's
a
not
minute,
just.
I want this to be known. I know how to wash dishes, and I've done it because our dishwasher broke. I know how to
the
cook,
dishwasher broke.
and I cook.
Yes.
I do what? Wash clothes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he irons.
And I iron. She don't iron. I
Something I
iron.
don't do
Look,
very well.
I'm gonna shake your hand. Let me shake your hand, sir. You know what? She just started ironing her clothes maybe a year ago or so, 2 years ago maybe. So I understand, brother. So thank you for taking that credit on me.
It's you do what you have to do. Okay, it's just one of these things. You do what you have to do to keep it moving. All right. I mean, there's responsibilities that I have, and there are responsibilities that she has. But if there's a failure in that responsibility, it's not my fault, nor is it her fault at all. We just do what we got to do to make it work, and then we trust in the Lord that we're doing the right thing.
Got you.
You know, that's the whole deal about the communication is just simply making sure that you two are on one accord with each other on whatever it is
Gotcha.
that you're doing.
Gotcha.
If it's business related, if it's love related, whatever it is, you're on one accord.
Gotcha.
Okay. And
Now
so,
that's-
and then let me say this one
Yes,
thing.
sir. Yes, sir.
One thing about what brothers do is once we have clubbed the woman over the head and drag her into our
Right.
heart,
Absolutely.
we stop. We need to continue to club her over our heads, over their heads. I'm talking like a Neanderthal man
Right,
now,
but that's
but
okay.
but it's called dating.
Uh-huh.
You know, continue to date, and so we've always had it. But when the children came, see, when children come, they come in the way of communication. They actually do.
Absolutely.
And so we are finding out now, both girls are out of the house. Okay. It's basically reinventing the marriage. And so we've always had like a little night when we watch TV together. Now it's just me and you, you know, and it's me, you, and the dog. And, you know, we look at each other, okay, hey, let's do this. And so we are building back up that communication that was once there a long time ago. You know, they never left. It just kind of sat dormant. But now we're building it back up. We're not afraid to talk to one another about things that she said, you know, she was talking about, which is so important. Don't be afraid to talk to your spouse about it. If it bothers you, talk.
I would like to make one point to our 2017 women. Our men are actually more sensitive than we think or like to think or whatever. And I know that sometimes a lot of us women are kind of rough, for lack of a better word, but we don't always make a comfortable place for our men to be able to express their feelings to us because of how we might react or what we might say. So I think it's really a big thing for us ladies to make a comfortable place for our men to come to us and express our feelings and not judge them or look at them in any certain type of way when they come to us about how they may be feeling about, you know, something. Men are a lot of times just as sensitive as we are and have a lot of stress and things that are going on, and some men, you know, don't even express that just because, you know, for one, they may be feeling like, you know, I'm a man, so I can't go there. And I just feel like, you know, a lot of times if the women just make a comfortable place for the men to be able to, you know, crown their shoulder or whatever they may need to do, that, you know, communication would develop a lot better. How do you feel about that?
But hold on though, don't take that the wrong way. We still tough guys, you know. So I'm just,
Oh yeah, I think that's I would say it's really important, you know, for them to show that they have some weaknesses also, and that they can be vulnerable also, and that but you know, they've been taught. Most men have been taught growing up that, oh, you don't cry, you don't, you know, you can't act like no punk, don't be crying, sit up straight, you can't do that. And that's not really good, because that's why they tend to hold a lot of things in. And I think it's for us and in us to help them, to show their feelings and let all that go, that we can protect their hearts and their emotions also.
got you.
How do you feel about that topic?
No, I cried in my mama's funeral, all right? So, no, you know, I mean, yeah, I hold things in, you know, I hold things in and pray that the Lord will give me the opportunity to release it.
Understand.
I come from a family of all boys, you know, I'm the last.
I already said he needed a sister.
No. That's another show. But no, it's you know, men, we have to stay strong, but we also, we have that weak side. When it's time to, you know, sit down and shed a tear, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're not a punk or anything like that. You know, it's just that you are sensitive. You know, there are things that, you know, that can break you down.
Right.
Sometimes God has to do this, even in a marriage. He has to break your marriage down so that you can rebuild your marriage. Sometimes he has to break the individual down to mold him to the way that God wants him to be molded. You know, I mean, Adam, when he made Adam, people got to understand, when he blew the breath of life into Adam, he wasn't blowing the breath so that his lungs can breathe. He was blowing his life into Adam. And when we come to God as men that are in God, and you have a relationship with the Lord, it works out in your marriage because you have that God in you. You know, if you can't go to God when you have problems, if you can't communicate with God, then how are you going to communicate with your spouse?
Amen. You know what? That was a great conversation. I want to thank you guys so much for stopping through and talking to us and giving us some knowledge for ourselves and for our viewers. Guys, I hope you learned some useful information today about communication. Take back some things as far as, like we said, timing is everything when you have an issue that you need to bring up. Don't hold things in. If you have an issue, go ahead and express that and lay that on the table so you can communicate and get that thing back together. Tone is everything. So watch your tone. How you start off a conversation is pretty much going to be the gauge for how that conversation is going to go. So use some of those things next time you find yourself having issues with communication with your spouse. As always, be sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching Straight from the Heart today. Good night.
Peace.